In remote Australia, these kind of car wrecks are really common. Now, along the Tanami track, which runs over 1,000 k's from the Kimberleys in remote Western Australia through to Alice Springs in the Northern Territory, you see them all the time.
It's not like in the city where you just smoothly drive off. Up here, we live in the hills country. Mountain.
But the roads don't just claim cars. A lot of people in remote communities end up in prison for car-related offences.
I think most of the people from Belgo are in for Motika incidents, car incidents or license, driving without license and unregistered vehicles around town or to town.
They're locked up for, just driving without a license and not having a job and not able to pay off the fine.
So slowly things build up, and often people don't know that they've got this list of fines, and it's not uncommon here for a young person of 20 to have a fine sheet of $4,000 that they've somehow got to do off. And if they don't often pay it by a certain time and then they miss a court hearing, then they might be in lockup for 3 months.
Although Aboriginal people only make up around 3% of Western Australia's population, they're about 40% of the male prison population. In juvenile detention, the figures are even higher, around 70%. It's the highest rate of Indigenous imprisonment in the country. And according to 2007 figures, around a third of those people are there for drink driving offences and driving without a licence. And it's hard to know how many end up in prison because of unpaid fines.
And I've heard people say, like when you're in lockup, you don't have to humbug because you get 3 good meals, you get to have a sleep, you get to have a shower. But at the same time, they find it very distressful being away from family, and because the prisons are so far away from here, people are right down the bottom of the country and we're right up the top.
So the community and the Arts Centre put together a series of projects working with young men around the Motika, aka the motor car.
People just really want to tell their own stories and hear their own stories. Like, everybody here watches Home and Away practically every day. It's kind of like everything sort of shuts down, 6:30 whenever it's on. And it was just like, they said, why don't we make our sort of Balgo Home and Away? So it's just stories about the community.
Balgo Story is a short film directed and made with local Balgo men, with some help from outside the community.
AJ is just a guy that's a good boy that gets in trouble and sees these old folks and try to get help. Well, he started hanging out to some bad guys, and them guys start breaking in, and he tries to warn them and gets busted by the police, and he cops the blame, so he gets charged. And
a group of young men came in and talked about a story that they'd really like to tell, which was about they were football players, and someone from the AFL, someone like from the West Coast Eagles, which is the Perth team, comes and spots one of the players and says, do you want to come and try out for the reserve grade of the AFL, which is sort of a bit of a dream of lots of young men here. And so we talked about the impact that would then have on the guy's girlfriend and on his family, and also what would happen if he was caught. He goes out to celebrate, gets drunk and gets caught drunk driving, and then he can't actually make it to Perth. So when I came up this time, Dave and I sort of sat down and developed his AJ character, and then we sort of took these other stories and just sort of wove them together.
1, 2, 3, go!
For a small community, Balgo is home to a vibrant music scene with 5 bands in town. So the Arts Centre had a recording studio built to make the soundtrack for the film.
Well, we sing about people who used to snip long time ago, but they have it now, they are right. And we sing about ganja, alcohol, and we sing about sad song. We sing sad song about a man left his girl, a girl left his man all alone. He passed on, but he left that song with the group. That's why now we got no sniffing, and we into music and stuff, footies. Yeah, and mix we into anything, basketball, hunting, anything goes around Belgo.
Those fellows who suicided, why do you think that happened?
Lots of reason, too much reason. Can't really tell why, but I know they watching us now and saying they just they saying that keep going, keep doing the good stuff. We'll just be here to watch you, mom. Yeah.